Tom Monken, huh, Cleveland? That's your next head coach? Well, the good news is that you got a first-team All-Pro talent, Myles Garrett, and a Pro Bowl QB named Shedeur Sanders. Hey, NFL, what the hell are we doing? Guy has more interceptions than touchdowns, and you get him in the Pro Bowl. This is what we're doing? Also, why the fuck is Bill Belichick not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Guy has 6 rings. Guy has the same amount of rings as Michael Jordan, and he's not in the Hall of Fame? I swear, politics are just ruining the sport, man. Doesn't even matter anymore how you do. It's about politics and who people really want to see. It's sports entertainment now, and it's ridiculous. Anyways, welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be doing the rest of the Power 4 conferences next week for the tier list teams. But for now, we're doing tight end tier list this time. I'm going to just do the starting tight end, just the one, unless you are a certain team with 2 great tight ends. If you are enjoying this series so far, make sure you give this a big thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss a single one of my videos, because it helps the channel a lot. This is the Grizz as always. Without further delay, let's get to it. So here we go. Of course, you got the same tiers as always: elite, above average, decent, mid, serviceable, and of course the dungeon of ass. Yeah, by the way, decent and mid are literally the same tier. Just don't have enough time to sort them out from the top half with being decent and the bottom half being mid. But anyways, let's get things started with Kyle Pitts. I cannot believe I am saying this, but that was an elite year for Kyle Pitts. Sure, it's not his rookie season numbers, but still, the guy was productive, man. 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, 5 receptions per game. Once Penix went down, he really took off with Kirk Cousins throwing him the football. Just imagine what Kevin Stefanski will do with him. The guy is going to be an absolute monster. Might even use Charlie Warner as well. Besides Bijan Drake, he is definitely the 3rd best option on that Falcons offense. Next up, we got Trey McBride. I think it should be a surprise to nobody that... Oh, wait, sorry. There we go. No question, he is elite. Best tight end in the game, and it's not even close. This guy has 7 receptions per game as a tight end. Like, he was the #1 option for that Cardinals offense the whole season. And didn't he break, like, a single season record for receptions by a tight end? Yeah, 126 receptions, 11 touchdowns, and 1,200 yards. The guy absolutely dominated. Just a shame the defense was not consistently good. Because otherwise, they wouldn't be, a 5-12 team kind of bad. Anyways, next we got the 2 tight ends from Baltimore. First up, Mark Andrews. Disagree with all you want, but I think Mark Andrews is an above average tight end in Baltimore. People will literally talk shit about him because he dropped that ball in fantasy football, in the playoffs, but dude, the guy is actually a solid tight end. Had 12 touchdowns last year. Unfortunately, he did dip a little bit, getting 6 touchdowns, but he was definitely important in that offense. Just sucks that he's getting beat out of receptions by Charlie Kohler of all people. I know Isaiah Likely was going to do it, but another tight end beating out Andrews? Come on, man. Then we got Isaiah Likely. I'll put him in above average as well. I mean, he didn't play as many games as Andrews, but when he did go on the field, he was actually a very good option. He definitely did not do the same thing as Andrews did, but he's still like on the low end above average because, he is a good athlete even though he's from Coastal Carolina. Made some good catches for the offense, did what he could, considering that Derrick Henry was basically the offense, sort of. Also with Zay Flowers. Next up, we got Dalton Kincaid for the Bills. I guess he was above average. Definitely better than he was last year. For sharing catches with Dawson Knox and maybe Jackson Hawes as well, he actually didn't do that bad. 571 yards and 5 touchdowns. People do not give Dalton Kincaid enough credit for all that stuff that he is doing. As a first-round pick tight end, you got to be very good. Maybe he hasn't lived up to that first-round pick hype, but he's still a pretty good weapon for that Buffalo offense. He definitely makes up for the lack of a passing game to the wide receivers, since Josh Allen and James Cook are running, so he's got to be the main complement to Josh Allen's run game and James Cook's run game, along with Dawson Knox. Then, of course, we got Dawson Knox. Honestly, yeah, he was decent tight end. Obviously, he's getting out reception by Dalton Kincaid, but, happens to the best of them. That doesn't mean he can't produce. Had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, had a couple of touchdowns there and then, but he's more close to serviceable than above average, to be fair. But still a good option when you need a second tight end to throw to when the first one's not open. Next up, we got the Panthers tight ends. First up, Mitchell Evans. Didn't really get used too much. You know, he's behind Jatavian Sanders for some reason. And Tommy Chambell, when the hell did Jatavian Sanders get to a tight end role? Didn't know he put on a few pounds. But, you know, Mitchell Evans was still serviceable. He might not get very many receptions, but, you know, when he does catch the ball, he can make some good plays. You know, he had the touchdown against the Dolphins to win the game. You know, he had 2 back-to-back games where he had 3 catches against the Rams and Bucks. Both of them resulted in wins. I'll give him his props, man. He made it work with the targets he got. Then, of course, we got Tommy Tremble. I guess he's in the same category as the rookie tight end from Notre Dame. Yeah, the Panthers had the worst tight end room of the entire thing, but, you know, they had equal production, so, Wasn't a great season for Panthers tight ends, to be fair. Especially when you have Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, Bryce Young, and Ted McMillan on your team. Now we got the Bears. First up, Colston Loveland. I may be jumping the gun on this one, but I still think he is an elite tight end. The game against the Bengals literally put him in one of the top half tight ends in the entire NFL. Like, that was just the beginning for him. People were clowning the Bears for taking a tight end that early, but boy, was he elite. He was one of the best players on the field. Yeah, he gets targeted more often than DJ Moore. That tells you something, man. Then he had the 10 catch game against Detroit and 8 catch game against the Packers in the wild card. You know, he is more valuable than people will give him credit for. Props to you, Colston. And then, of course, you got Cole Kmet. I still think he's a mid tight end. Nothing too special. I do think he is a good compliment to Colston, even though he's not as electric as him. Just going to do one tight end for the Bengals. Mike Gesicki, I guess he was decent. You know, he wasn't bad by any means. Just doesn't get enough credit over Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, or T. Higgins to be, a third or second best option on the Bengals offense. Minus 300 yards and 2 touchdowns with all that talent that I just said on the offensive side. Just a shame the defense couldn't replicate that kind of level of production. Then we got Cleveland. David Njoku first off. I'm going to put him as, decent tier. No, not serviceable. He was a decent tight end. I think he's been decent his entire career with Cleveland. You know, he's just getting overshadowed now that Harold Fannon's starting to emerge as a very good pass catcher. But Njoku does have those kind of games where he can get a couple catches for 10 plus yards, man. The guy can produce. I don't think Harold Fannon's the best rookie tight end, but he definitely is a top half tight end in the NFL right now. You know, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. You know, Shedeur liked him a lot when he started to play quarterback. I think both of the rookie quarterbacks liked Fannon. I liked the pick in the 3rd round. I think he was a very underrated tight end, and boy, was I right. He definitely stole the show out there in Cleveland. Best performance had to be it against the Titans. The 8-catch, 114-yard performance with the score. It's just Canvas Stefanski. Boy, you done fucked up on that one. Next up is the Dallas Cowgirls with Jake Ferguson. Yeah, he's still above average tight end. Don't overthink this. 8 touchdowns and 600 yards. You know, besides Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, he's definitely the 3rd best option on that Cowboy offense. And I'm saying that is a good thing, Jake. People do not give you enough credit for the effort you show out there on the field. You actually get targeted quite a bit, and you actually make the most of it with your almost 5 receptions per game, so good on you, brother. Then we got the Broncos. Just going to do Evan Engram. He wasn't ass, but he was really just serviceable, to be fair. I think he could have been a good tight end. At least I thought he would be, because, you know, Denver needed a tight end 1, and to be fair, he didn't do quite enough to really put him anywhere else. He had a good stretch of games, but then all of a sudden, you know, it kind of disappeared. He'll have that long reception every now and then, but just not enough targets, really. Or rather, not enough catches. Next up, we got the Lions and Sam Laporta. I know he got injured in the season, but I still think he was above average when he played. Definitely didn't go to the level that he is now, but I still think he is high tier above average at the moment. When in doubt, throw to 87, and he'll get you a catch and some good yards. I know Goff loved him. It sucks that you got hurt. You might have put Detroit in the playoffs, even though they weren't going to be as strong as they originally were. Speaking of good tight ends, Tucker Kraft, you know, I know he did get injured, but I still think he's still above average. I really wanted this guy in fantasy football this year. I did draft him last year, or I don't know if I got him on waivers, but he's still been a very solid tight end for Green Bay until he got injured. Sucks that he tore his ACL, but, when he was on the field, he was probably the best pass catcher on that team. Since Green Bay doesn't have a true number 1 receiver yet, always the best option to go for the tight end, and Tucker Kraft has proven that every single time he's put on that Green Bay jersey. Then we got Houston, Mr. Reliable Dalton Schultz. Yeah, I could put him in above average, man. Had 700 yards, almost 5 receptions per game. I know he had 3 touchdowns, but he makes it work with every catch he gets from Stroud. Or Mills, for that matter. I'm not sure why Houston didn't use him more in the playoffs. Like, in 2 playoff games, he had 5 catches for 60 yards. You saw what he could do in the regular season. Why not give him the ball in the playoffs, man, when it matters most? I think Dalton Schultz is going to be a very good piece for that Houston offense when it's all said and done. I hope you're proud. I like it, Dalton Schultz. Oh, here we go. Next up, we got the Jags, Brent Strange. Oh, boy. I'm putting him at decent. I made a hot take before the season that he would make a Pro Bowl. He was not even close. He was solid when he was playing before he got injured, and then all of a sudden, he had some good performances there, and then it was just, 2 catches for 9 yards, 1 catch for 26. Like, it got a little inconsistent after he got injured. I think if he doesn't get hurt, I think he has a good shot of making a Pro Bowl as a tight end. Maybe even second team, not really second team All-Pro. Sorry about that injury, Mr. Strange. Oh, almost forgot somebody. Thank you very much for reminding me there. Tyler Warren is up next. I think he is an above-average tight end, just barely. I'm just kidding. No, he is a good tight end. I can't even lie to you. I mean, when Pittman has a bad game, Pierce has a bad game, Dunn's a bad game, who do you go to besides Jonathan Taylor? Yeah, that's right, Mr. Tyler Warren, the tight end. Good pickup by Indianapolis. They desperately needed a tight end one, and he was right there for the taking, and they got him. And even though he didn't do as good as Colston Loveland or Harold Fannin for them, actually, no, he may have done a little better than Harold Fannin, but he did still find a way to produce. He was actually the second most targeted player on that Colts team, so hey, that says something. Next up, we got Mr. Swift, Travis Kelce. He was a little inconsistent at times. I do still think he was an above-average tight end this season. I know people will give me shit for this one, but seriously, the guy was actually pretty solid throughout the year. I could tell because I actually took him in fantasy football this season. He had more good games than not as far as the tight end goes, so there you go, man. Then we got the Chargers, Rondé Gadsden. I'm going to put him in decent. I think he could be a pretty good tight end for him. Can't believe he emerged on the scene, but, a little bit later into the year, he started to produce a lot. Harbaugh liked him, and all of a sudden, he's rode with him. That 7-catch, 164-yard game actually really put him over. He isn't nearly as targeted as Allen Johnston or McConkey, but he can still find a way to get to the ball and make some plays out of it. Props to you, and I hope you have a good time in LA. We got 3 tight ends for the Rams. All 3 of them are going in decent, except for Parkinson, just barely above average for Mr. Parkinson, the Stanford boy. Ferguson and Higbee, they're going to be indecent. You want to know why they didn't get as much production? It's literally because of a guy by the name of Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and Devontae Adams. Parkinson was the best one. He had 8 touchdowns and 400 yards, easily the most targeted tight end of the 3. He had some very nice games. Stafford always seemed to find him in the end zone. Man, Rams with a 3 tight end formation is going to be game-breaking. For Higbee, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns. Being the starting tight end, he had his good games from there, and then it was just not a consistent basis. Again, not his fault because Parkinson definitely did outproduce him. And for Terrence Ferguson, I would put him in serviceable, but you gotta understand, 3 tight ends, it's not easy to find the same one over and over again when there's other tight ends to go to. For him to get 3 touchdowns alongside Higbee and Parkinson is actually pretty impressive for the rookie. He didn't play a couple of games because, again, he's behind 2 veteran tight ends. That's why Parkinson's above average and the other 2 are in decent tier. Taking a look at Las Vegas. Brock Bowers, I still think he is a very nice tight end. And Michael Mayer, I'm going to put him in the high decent tier. I think he's starting to get a little better. Insane game against Jacksonville when he had 12 catches on the 30 yards and 3 touchdowns. For a tight end, that's ridiculous. It's just a shame he got hurt. Because besides Bryant, he would probably been the second best tight end in the NFL. Again, it sucks that he did get hurt, but when he was on the field, he was probably one of the most dominant tight ends we've probably seen in the AFC. I don't think Michael Mayer is bad at all. It's just he's being outshined by, of course, Mr. Bowers. And, he's the starting tight end on kind of like almost half of the entire league. It's just a shame that he didn't get as big of a chance as Bowers did. I just realized they got Jonnu Smith here when he was still in the Dolphins, and yeah, that might be a problem. For the Dolphins, I think Waller was the better tight end. I think Jonnu Smith was serviceable, but I'm going to use Jonnu Smith as a placeholder for Darren Waller. I'm going to say, for coming out of retirement and playing the way he did, he wasn't bad. I think it was a mid-tight end still. For taking off football for a bit, he didn't do horrible. Had 6 touchdowns, he had a 2-touchdown game, and then he had 4 touchdowns in 3 games at one point. So he wasn't all bad. It's just a shame he wasn't targeted so much because of guys like Jalen Waddle and Malik Washington and all that, and also Achane as well. He was actually the 5th most targeted player on that Dolphins team, and just imagine what could have happened if he had as much catches as, Malik Washington or Jalen Waddle. He would have probably had a much better year, but he still made the most of his the targets that he got. Next up is Minnesota and TJ Hawkinson. I still think TJ is a decent tight end, even though, he sort of gets hurt constantly. I think he got more hurt towards the end of the year, but he actually had some solid stats while he was still on the field. Just a shame that they had a quarterback by the name of J.J. McCarthy. I remember Cousins liked him, but it's just, people have started to forget about him, but I surely didn't. I do remember that amazing year he had 2 years ago. Just going to do Hunter Henry for New England. I do believe that he is an above-average tight end. I really, really do. High end of that as well. 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. Easily one of the more forgettable weapons, but also the one that has been there for a pretty good while, longer than Diggs, and he still found a way to get himself involved, probably the 3rd best option for that Patriots offense. Oh no, he was 2nd. Well, that makes it even better. But yeah, besides Diggs, Hunter Henry has been pretty much the most targeted player on that offense, and that says something good about him. I love Taysom, but I can't put him on this rankings. I gotta put Juwan Johnson in there, and I think he too is an above average tight end. I don't think he's quite elite just yet, but yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself. Only 3 touchdowns, but did get almost 900 receiving yards. Had some of the sickest catches I've seen in the NFC South, and I'm a Falcons fan. Found a way to take over games, probably the 2nd best option other than, best option not named Chris Olave. That's basically just them and Kamara. That's the O offense, and I guess Devin Neal and Tyler Shuck. But man, what a season for Juwan Johnson despite all the trouble that they had, going against some pretty good teams and maybe some mediocre ones as well. I think he's very close to the elite status, and he's just not quite there yet. Next up, we got the Giants, Theo Johnson. I'm going to put him in decent tier. I think I could be comfortable doing that. He doesn't get as much attention as, the run game, Jackson Dart, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, but he found a way to really be a pretty good option when you need him to get the ball. For being the 3rd best target, I think he is tied with Cam Scatterboot, but still, when he went, when Neighbors and Scatterboot went down, he was the 2nd best target, and yeah, he did pretty well doing it. 500 yards and 5 touchdowns is not bad at all. Next up, we got the Jets. Mason Taylor's who we're going to go after. I'm trying to find him. There he is. I'm going to put him in decent. I don't think it's fair to judge him just yet, even though he was the best receiver out of every Jets receiving target out there. Garrett Wilson was the most targeted, but once he went down, Mason Taylor was basically the guy besides Breece Hall. I know he only had 1 touchdown and 369 yards, but come on, that's the Jets. He easily got 600 yards and 4 or 5 more touchdowns with any other team. Yeah, even the Browns. I gotta give Taylor his credit, man. Even though I didn't exactly like or hate the move at first, I'm starting to think that maybe this guy has a future. The Jets were a competent franchise, which unfortunately they're not. He needs to get the hell out of there. I think he'll be a solid receiver, just not with the Jets, man. Next up, Eagles, Dallas Goedert. Yeah, he's still above average, 600 yards, 11 touchdowns. Nothing too major, just the normal kind of Dallas Goedert stat line. Besides A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, he's the best pass catcher of them all, or at least the most targeted one. He's been the third wheel in the receiving corps, but still, man, when he'll need a touchdown, give it to Dallas Goedert and he'll get you one. That was proven the case in the San Francisco game, maybe the Buffalo game, maybe the one against the Raiders, and one against the Giants as well. Can't forget about the Bucs game either. For Pittsburgh, I'm going to put Pat Freiermuth in the decent tier, and I'm going to put Darnell Washington in the serviceable tier. I think he'll be a great tight end, but not right now. Darnell's a physical specimen, you know, being a 6'7" guy. I mean, I saw that one clip where he was like trucking over everybody. I think he has a lot of potential, but if there's going to be an offense that can use him, I mean, I could definitely use him in Atlanta, since, you know, Kevin Stefanski is pretty good with tight ends. But for Freiermuth, it took a little bit for him to get going. I did release him because he wasn't doing enough like Kelsey and Strange, and he actually went out there and he did pretty decent. Had a couple key catches in there, it was just not quite enough. But how the hell is he getting the same amount of targets as Jonnu Smith? Really? I don't think Jonnu Smith's a bad option, but Freiermuth is probably the best item on the Steelers offense, and it's probably not a great sign. Well, it's not a terrible sign either. I mean, he had 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. For Seattle, A.J. Barner, I'm going to put him in high decent tier, actually. 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. I mean, he was the 4th best, most targeted option of that Seattle offense. I mean, when you have a guy like Justice Smith-Njigba, you're not going to have that great of a stat line there as a tight end. However, he definitely has not been ass at all. He's been Mr. Reliable when they were doubling Smith-Njigba and also covering Cooper Kupp. When Cooper Kupp was declining and Torrey Horton had his ups and downs, A.J. Barner was right there. He was a pretty good, consistently to good tight end. Gotta give you your props, A.J. 49ers, George Kittle, I still think he is an elite tight end. Sucks that he got hurt with the Achilles thing. Still, other than McCaffrey, is the most dominant player on that offense. Again, it sucked that he got hurt on that in that one game in the playoff game. The wild card one against the Eagles. It sucks he's not even going to be playing this next season. Like, but that Achilles will set him out for probably the entire year. Never forget what you did the past couple years, George. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cade Otton. I'm going to put him in mid-tier. I do like this guy, but it was just, you know, he's just being underutilized. It's been Mike Evans, then Mika, then Chris Godwin, and then Cade Otton, but he has been not that bad of a tight end, to be fair. He just doesn't get too many opportunities because of Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irvin, maybe Rashad White, and also the receivers I just mentioned. Chika Conwell with the Titans, I am going to say decent as well. As bad as that Titans offense has been, Chika Conwell, you know, he's been a solid tight end throughout this entire time with the team. Every year he's been with this Tennessee team, he hasn't been that bad at all. He's always been at least decent. At least he's consistent, man. For Zach Ertz, I'm debating between decent above average, and what the hell, I'll go put him in above average. Like, before that injury, he was definitely a very nice option for Washington. You know, Traylon Burks had his up and downs, McLaurin got injured, Debo, you know, he's been okay, but I don't feel like he was the number one option. Third most targeted player, besides Debo and Terry, he was the best one, and yeah, man, his impact on that Washington offense cannot be underrated. You know, 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, had a 10-catch game against the Broncos, and I know he dropped a couple, but the guy has been consistent up until he got injured on that one catch. Just sucks that we won't be able to see him in a football uniform again, because that might have been his last step of his career. Surprisingly, no touching of ass this year. Well, tight ends, yeah. I guess I should just take that tier off then, because tight ends, they weren't horrible. And there we go. That's the tier list. Be sure to comment down below what you agree or disagree with. You know, I'm glad to hear constructive criticism. But anyways, tight ends, good job. That'll do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give this a big thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, K's or Grizzly values with you at all times. Take care.